You know, I've been in the pay television business just about my whole professional career. Started in 1977, and those days we were cable television, and then gradually have done everything from microwave to satellite that we do now over the top or IP delivered content. Probably the biggest challenge was that we hadn't made any money, and I think the year I took over we lost $44 million. So it was just trying to rationalize the business and try and focus on what it is that we were doing, and try and bring it onto a better flight path, and mainly on the continue to market, because we knew we could continue to expand, but really had a real sharp focus on costs and programming expenses. When we started off, all we had was 3 channels. What we call international news, which was CNN, which by the way was not international at all. It was just the domestic U.S. feed, and the U.S. entered a war somewhere. Well, then we got a little bit of an international taste, but for the most part you got to cover the mayoral races in Chicago. We had a movie channel which only had about 3 movie studios. There are probably about 7 that represent most of the movies that we'd recognize today, and with a very limited inventory. And our sports channel was ESPN International. So we had taken a survey saying that cricket and netball and league and rugby was the 4 most popular sports. ESPN had about a half hour of that a year. And so we just decided we were going to keep expanding, and every time we moved into a new market, use that money, go out and buy additional content, expanding the movie channel, expanding our sports coverage, and starting to do more and more local. And eventually we had a critical mass, and we were able to go up on the satellite, and then that really opened the door. We could go up and down the country after that, and that really was the kind of a breakthrough. Expensive. It took us a while to, when we started up, that satellite was very expensive because you have that fixed cost, and you just pray that you get enough subscribers, earn enough money to break even on it, and eventually it happened. The free-to-air networks did not have a great a desire for a sport back in the early days, and so they would do maybe 1 rugby match a weekend or something like that, and there was all sorts of rugby matches going on. So we were happy to let them have that one, but we thought there was a market for all the rest of them, for the real sports fanatics, and so we started doing, this is in the MPC days before Super Rugby, and the Tri-Nations and all that sort of thing, and then we gradually sat down with the sporting codes and talked to them about, boy, we could do even more, and so ourselves and the rugby unions of South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand kind of put together the Super 15, or originally Super 12 rugby, and worked and started building sports that didn't exist before. Netball, the Trans-Tasman League, NRL was already there, and so we brought that in and brought lots of international fixtures into New Zealand. In the early days, we could not even begin to build our own channels, so we really relied on, we had to go, even on our sports channel, we'd take the ESPN feed and then break in the middle of it. It might be a tennis match out of Germany or something like that, and we'd cut in the middle to start the rugby and then break back out, and when we were done it would be an automobile race in Milan or something like that. So it was kind of a down and dirty way of getting a channel. And it was far cheaper for us to pick up other channels. About that same time, the whole Pacific Rim started exploding with pay TV opportunities. So people were starting to take a gamble on building these channels and trying to distribute against pay TV operators all the way from Korea down to New Zealand, all across the Pacific Rim. So timing was part of that, and we saw these shows coming, these networks all forming. Then eventually we got that critical mass, and we could start building our own networks, like the Box and Vibe and Zone and Jones and all those things, where we go out and acquire the content directly. There are lots of times on buying content, you can't go pick one particular show most of the time. That someone is selling you content requires you to bid for a certain amount of product. And we always had a problem of not being able to win those bids, because 25% of them would be clearly what we consider free-to-air content. And so we lose those bids to other people. And TVNZ has always had this advantage when they bid for content. They could pilot content. Some of it could be for an older audience on TV1 and some of it for a younger audience on TV2. Likewise, MediaWorks had that same advantage. We've always been kind of a disadvantage. And so by buying Prime, that allowed us to be able to offer that free-to-air coverage. And you're right, TV1 went to a period where they kind of backed away from kind of the documentaries that shows like Downton Abbey years ago, I think would have been a TV1 play. And now they seem to be going back to that area, so we kind of zig while everyone zags, and we'll have to look for new content. The problem we were having is that linear channels, free-to-air in particular, are being watched less and less. And so we were always a niche player in the news, and the ability to garner enough eyeballs at 5:30 to make it worthwhile, the investment, that half hour was losing more money for Prime than any other time. So we sat down with MediaWorks, and the key was they could produce that extra half-hour news for us at a very minimal marginal cost, and so it was far more economical. We still have a good relationship with Sky News, and they still provide us a very good 24-hour international Australasian-based channel. But the MediaWorks one, they can provide on the marginal cost because they already have the reporters going out and picking up the stories. And I think more and more the news in New Zealand are going to have to rely on that because it's a harder and harder business model. And you're going to see more pooling. You're starting to see it in the newspaper side as well. It's all probably one market now. We're both vying for eyeballs. Theirs, they try to monetize in the way of advertising sales. Ours, we try to monetize in the way of monthly subscriptions. It looks like to me somewhat of a bubble for content right now, that everyone is going out and trying to acquire it, be it Netflix, be it Lightbox, be it Sky, MediaWorks, TVNZ, all the other Freeview channels. And so content prices are probably as high as they've ever been. I would argue almost unsustainable, so something's got to happen. It's a wide open competitive market now, and the internet has allowed so many options. A lot of them probably won't be around in 5 years, but they're there now, and you have to sit there and say, okay, does this make any sense? Should I be there? At the same time, you got to really focus on your core business to make sure you're still trying to drive subscribers and deliver what they want. You know, this has been kind of like a family for me. If you're looking at passion, I mean, one of the fun things when you immigrate to a new country, the thing that hurts you the most is losing family behind, and kind of the fun thing is moving to an area where, into a new country, you get to pick your family. In my case, it's probably, I'm closer to the people that I worked with and built this business with. And so we celebrate each other's birthdays and children's being born. And if you look, we had 125 employees when I walked in the door. And it amazes me, I would say 50 of them are still here. You know, that's an amazing length of time that these people are here. We have one of the lower turnover rates, and we operate some areas that, you know, internationally turn people over, be it customer service or door-to-door sales or technicians, and yet we have one of the lower turnovers compared to other companies our size, compared to like a Spark or a Chorus or a Vodafone. So we're quite, you see hopefully that and feel that family feel a little bit more than you would in most organizations.